What if the biggest mental health breakthrough of the 21st century wasn't hidden inside a laboratory, but inside your refrigerator? What if anxiety, depression, brain fog, constant fatigue, and even the way you think have been influenced by something you repeat 3 times every single day? Without questioning it, we've spent decades asking, what's wrong with the brain? Maybe we've been asking the wrong question. Maybe we should have asked, what have we been feeding it? Because every civilization has searched for the secret to a sharper mind: books, meditation, medicine, technology. But what if the answer has been sitting on your dinner plate this entire time? Tonight, we're opening a conversation that challenges decades of conventional thinking. Not to sell another miracle diet, not to promise impossible cures, but to explore one unsettling possibility: that changing what you eat may change how you experience the world itself. Change your diet, change your mind based on the ideas of Dr. Georgia Ed. Let me guess. You've blamed stress. You've blamed your schedule. You've blamed social media. Maybe you've blamed yourself. You tell yourself, I just need more discipline. Maybe I need another productivity app. Maybe I'm just getting older. But what if the real problem isn't your motivation? What if it's breakfast? That sounds ridiculous, almost insulting. We've been taught that the brain exists in one department, and food belongs in another. One doctor treats depression, another treats diabetes, another talks about cholesterol, as if your brain isn't made from the very nutrients floating through your bloodstream. But according to psychiatrist Dr. Georgia Ed., that separation is one of the biggest mistakes in modern medicine. Because your brain isn't powered by willpower. It's powered by biology. Every emotion, every memory, every decision, every anxious thought, every burst of creativity depends on what your brain is physically built from. And every single day, you're either constructing a stronger brain or slowly dismantling it, one meal at a time. This documentary isn't about losing weight. It isn't another diet trend. It's about something far more valuable: your ability to think clearly, to stay calm, to remember to focus, to feel joy. Because your greatest asset isn't your money. It isn't your career. It isn't your body. It's the 3 pounds of tissue sitting inside your skull. And most people unknowingly feed it like garbage. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Modern society spends billions treating mental illness, yet almost never asks one simple question: what are we feeding the brain? That question changes everything. Because if food can build your brain, food can also break it. And if that's true, then changing your diet isn't just changing what you eat. It's changing who you become. Change your diet, change your mind. The question is no longer whether food affects your brain. The real question is, how much of your mind have you unknowingly been eating away? Every powerful book contains an operating system. Dr. Georgia Ed's system can be summarized into 3 unforgettable principles. Not calories, not weight, not guilt. Just 3 biological realities. Principle 1: your brain is built from food. Imagine trying to build the world's strongest skyscraper, using cracked concrete, rusted steel, and broken glass. Would you expect it to survive an earthquake? Of course not. Yet that's exactly how many people build their brains. Your brain constantly replaces cells, repairs connections, creates neurotransmitters, manufactures hormones. Every one of those jobs requires raw materials. Those materials come from food, not motivation, not positive thinking, food. Did you know your brain contains nearly 60% fat? That's not a mistake. Nature made it that way. Because healthy fats are structural materials for healthy thinking. Now imagine replacing quality material with ultra-processed foods. It's like fueling a Ferrari with muddy water. Eventually, performance collapses. Modern example, a software engineer begins forgetting passwords. He struggles during meetings. His anxiety grows. He assumes he's burning out. He buys supplements, reads productivity books, downloads meditation apps. Nothing changes. Then he dramatically reduces ultra-processed foods, improves protein intake, and begins eating nutrient-dense whole foods. Weeks later, the brain fog lifts. His coding speed returns. His confidence follows. Nothing magical happened. His brain finally received materials worth building with. Now ask yourself, how many problems are you trying to solve mentally that actually began metabolically? Principle 2. Your brain runs on energy. Picture New York City during a blackout. Traffic stops. Hospitals struggle. Communication collapses. Not because the city forgot how to function, because it lost energy. Your brain is no different. Although it weighs only about 2% of your body, it consumes roughly 20% of your daily energy. That's astonishing. Every thought, every memory, every emotion costs energy. When energy production becomes unstable, thinking becomes unstable too. Dr. Ed explains that many people unknowingly experience metabolic dysfunction inside the brain long before disease appears elsewhere. The result: brain fog, mood swings, poor concentration, mental fatigue. The brain isn't lazy. It's underpowered. Scientific moment: think of glucose and ketones as two different fuels. Most brains use glucose constantly. But under certain conditions, such as fasting or carefully planned low-carbohydrate ketogenic diets, the liver also produces ketones, which many brain cells can use efficiently. Researchers are actively studying whether this alternative fuel may benefit some neurological and psychiatric conditions, although responses vary by individual, and it is not a universal treatment. The key idea is simple. A brain with a reliable energy supply often functions more consistently than one constantly riding sharp spikes and crashes. Principle 3. Imagine getting a paper cut. It becomes red, warm, inflamed. Now imagine a similar process happening invisibly inside the body. Chronic inflammation doesn't only affect joints. It can influence the brain. Dr. Ed argues that, for some people, dietary choices may contribute to inflammatory processes that affect mental well-being. This doesn't mean every mental health condition is caused by food, but nutrition is one important factor that deserves attention alongside sleep, exercise, therapy, medication when appropriate, and other aspects of health. When the brain is healthier, clarity often returns. Here's the myth: mental illness exists only inside the mind. That's how we've framed it for decades. But here's the counterintuitive part. Your brain isn't floating separately from your body. It's part of it. Every molecule reaching your brain, passes through your body first. That means nutrition, metabolism, hormones, immune activity, sleep, stress, and genetics all interact. Dr. Ed's deeper message isn't that food explains everything. It's that food has been underestimated. That's a very different claim. Picture two identical twins. Same education. Same family. Same opportunities. One sleeps poorly. Lives on sugary drinks and highly processed snacks. Rarely eats nutrient-dense foods. The other prioritizes whole foods, regular meals, exercise, and sleep. Years later, their cognitive resilience, energy, and overall health may look very different. Not because one loved success more. Because biology compounds over time. Tiny decisions, repeated daily, become identity. Did you know your brain creates trillions of connections? Those connections aren't built overnight. They're built meal by meal, day after day, year after year. Let's zoom out. This book isn't really about food. It's about leverage. Because changing one daily habit changes hundreds of future decisions. Picture this: a founder making better business decisions because mental clarity improves. An athlete recovering faster because nutrition supports performance. A student remembering information more effectively because sleep and diet work together. A parent becoming more patient because steadier energy helps regulate emotions. Different lives, same operating system. Feed the brain well. The brain serves you better. The real transformation isn't physical. It's cognitive. Your conversations improve. Your emotional resilience improves. Your judgment improves. Your relationships improve. Everything starts upstream, inside the brain. And that means every grocery store, every restaurant, every meal becomes a vote, not simply for your future body, for your future mind. Dr. Georgia Ed leaves us with an idea that feels almost revolutionary in its simplicity. Your brain is not separate from your plate. What you eat becomes what you think with. That doesn't mean nutrition is a cure-all. Mental health is complex, and many conditions require professional care, therapy, medication, or other treatments. But it does mean that food is a powerful lever, one that many people have far more control over than they realize. So here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, don't obsess over calories. Don't chase another fad diet. Instead, treat every meal as if you're feeding the most valuable machine you'll ever own. Because you are. Ask yourself before every bite, am I feeding my hunger? Or am I feeding my brain? One question, 3 times a day, 21 opportunities to begin changing your mind. Not through motivation, not through willpower, but through biology. Because in the end, your future isn't decided only by what you believe. It's also shaped by what you repeatedly choose to put on your plate. Change your diet, and you may begin to change your mind. The question is, what will you feed tomorrow? Most people believe change begins with a dramatic decision, a New Year's resolution, a motivational speech, a life-changing event. But biology rarely works that way. The brain doesn't transform overnight. It transforms quietly, meal after meal, day after day, choice after choice. The extraordinary life is often built from ordinary decisions, repeated long enough. Perhaps that's why the greatest revolutions in history didn't begin with armies. They began with ideas. And perhaps the greatest revolution you'll ever lead won't happen in a boardroom or on a battlefield, but in your own kitchen. Because every meal is more than nutrition. It's information. It's construction. It's communication. Every bite tells your body what kind of future you're preparing it for. You don't become healthy because you eat one perfect meal. You become healthier because you keep making the next better choice. One breakfast, one lunch, one dinner, until those choices become who you are. So tomorrow morning, before the rush begins, before the notifications, before the meetings, before the noise, stand in front of your first meal of the day and remember one simple truth. You're not just feeding your body. You're investing in your future mind. Because the quality of your thinking may begin with the quality of what you choose to eat. Your next meal might be the beginning of a different life.